Known as the Strawberry Boys, Jimmy Hoffa as a teenager represented the group and called a strike when trucks carrying strawberries arrived at a grocery warehouse. Knowing the strawberries wouldn't last long, the store was forced to agree to Hoffa's terms, leading to better pay and working conditions for the warehouse workers. Long before he became the union boss, Jimmy Hoffa showed early leadership potential. Well, here is a brief history about Jimmy Hoffa. Who was Jimmy Hoffa? Born James Riddle Hoffa on 14 February 1913 to John Hoffa and Viola Riddle, a Brazil, Indiana coal mining family. At 7, his father died of work-related conditions, and his family moved to Detroit's West Side in 1924, where Hoffa lived the rest of his life. He went to school until he was about 14 years old and began working as a teenager to help his family. The beginning point of his early days as a teenager marked his method of leadership, charming and persuasive. Please stick with us and let us find out more. And at 18, he began participating in the union demonstrations of the Truck Drivers Union, and over time he gained recognition. However inexperienced he was, he still managed to gain the respect of road workers with his charm, charisma, and effective acting. Fast forward to 1932, he got elected as the organizer for the Teamsters, Local 299, and this became the defining point of his life. With this, he was then elected the president of the International Brotherhood of Truckers, or Teamsters, in 1957. It is from this moment on he would be known for his aggressive methods and connections with the Cosa Nostra, the Italian mafia. Jimmy used the mob to destroy and gain power over his competitors. His collaboration with the mafia and crime figures were publicized, and he used it as an opportunity to leverage growth for the Teamsters Union, making it one of the most powerful unions in the country at that time. In one instance, Jimmy, with the connection of a Detroit gang, ran off a rival union from the Congress of Industrial Organizations. Hoffa's connections with the mobsters came with a price, and they protected Hoffa. In return, Hoffa's power in the union locals allowed them to threaten and intimidate local business owners into paying a tribute fee, which if they failed to do, the truckers who made deliveries would be confiscated, and this would bring their business to a halt. The mobsters with this became an important asset for the Teamsters Union as they made vast amounts of money from payments made by the local business owners. That money was in turn used to finance mob ventures, such as the building of casino hotels in Las Vegas. Enjoying the video so far? Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel below so you don't miss out on any updates. Jimmy Hoffa had become a household name, and many working Americans saw him as an advocate hero for trade unionism, and his face was easily recognized in public. In 1957, the U.S. Senate committee investigating labor began holding hearings focused on the Teamsters. In a televised hearing, Jimmy Hoffa came up against the Kennedy brothers, Senator John F. Kennedy and his younger brother Robert F. Kennedy, in a committee hearing on corruption in labor unions. With dramatic confrontations, Hoffa went back and forth with the senators, and no one was oblivious to the fact that Robert Kennedy and Jimmy Hoffa disliked each other. Robert Kennedy, after becoming Attorney General in his brother's administration, set off to put Jimmy Hoffa behind bars. A federal case against Hoffa for charges of jury tampering, fraud, and the improper use of the Teamsters Pension Fund finally convicted him in 1964. After a series of failed appeals, Hoffa began serving a federal prison sentence in March 1967. Hoffa, while in jail, planned to continue running the union and all its other businesses. This, however, unfortunately, did not go as he planned. Those he left behind to manage the business rebelled, and the mafia took it as an opportunity to expand their business with more facilities. In December 1971, president at that time, Richard Nixon pardoned Hoffa, and he was released from prison. The Nixon administration included a provision with the pardon that claimed Hoffa was not involved with union activity until 1980. After his release, in an interview, he said that he was going to get even with those in the union and the mob who had betrayed him and helped send him to prison. On July 30, 1975, Hoffa told his family he was going to meet someone for lunch at a restaurant in suburban Detroit, and that was the last time anyone saw or heard from him. He never returned from his lunch date, His disappearance became a major news story across America. Many people and mobs took credit for his disappearance, but enough evidence was never gathered to charge anyone. It is uncertain who is responsible. He left behind his wife, Josephine Posiwak, and children, James P. Hoffa. They continued his legacy by also becoming the head of the International Brotherhood of Truckers and Barbara Ann Cancer. On July 30, 1982, he was declared legally dead. To this day, the fate of Jimmy Hoffa is still unknown. Many say he was buried. Others say that he was cut up into pieces and thrown into a river. But the reality is that nobody knows for sure what happened to the famous union boss, Jimmy Hoffa. But many theories continue to fascinate the public. That's all for this video. Do well to check out our other video on why everybody is interested in Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance. Thanks for watching. See you next time.